What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Lil Silver Prime, and today we're going to be going over two combo line that's going to be using the Infernobles with the new cards from the new set, which is Rise of the Abyss, the Azamina cards. Why are we using the Azamina cards? For one, the Azamina cards allows us to establish a Omni Negate on our 4th to 5th summon, depending on how you start off. And that's before we move into our Angelica plays, which we like to have installated because that's such a critical point to our combo line. So that's one reason that we're going to be using the Azamina cards. Secondly, Deception of Sinful Spoils is a great card to use in Infernobles because on our opponent's turn, its second effect allows us to burn our opponent and gain back the life points we use within our combo line when we use the museum. So that can be very, very critical. So that's a very good point to probably point out for Deception within Infernobles, because I only stepped away from Infernobles because no matter how fast I played, no matter what I did, I will always somewhat lose important games in time due to me losing life points with the museum. But if now I can end my board with Deception of Sinful Spoils face up, I can mitigate those losses very, very greatly. So there can be a case made that Deception of Sinful Spoils should and could be played at 3 in Infernobles. So that's the last reason that I think Azamina is going to be really, really good in Infernobles. Along with there's other fire strategies that can, other fire warrior strategies that can take advantage of it. And one of them that's coming to mind is going to be the Flame Swordsman archetype. This archetype does the same thing that the Infernoble archetype does when it's taking advantage of the Azamina cards. And I've only minded out maybe 2 combo lines with the Flame Swordsman. So if any of this stuff or any of these strategies pique your interest, consider subscribing to the channel, give me a like, comment down below, let me know what you guys are doing, and I'll be sure to reply to you guys. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on into combo line number 1. We're going to start off with just these 2 cards here. So let's go ahead and get started. So in the draw phase, we're going to activate Wanted. It's going to search us the Bellstar. Move on to the main phase. We're then going to activate our copy of Heritage of the Chalice, which is going to search us a copy of Infernoble Knight Ogier. From here, we're then going to normal summon our copy of Infernoble Knight Ogier, sending a copy of Turpin to the graveyard. Once Turpin's in the graveyard, we're then going to activate Turpin's effect to equip to Ogier. And we're doing this because we're only playing off 2 cards, so we're going to play with what we have. And we want to make sure we maximize the use of every card we have here in play. So once Turpin's in play, we then can send Turpin right back to the graveyard to special summon out our copy of Bellstar, the Black Witch. Once Bellstar, the Black Witch, is on field, she's going to set a copy of our Deception. Once Deception's on the field, we're going to activate it and activate the effect, sending Ogier to the graveyard to search for a Azamina card. So we're then going to search for the Hallowed Azamina. Once we have Hallowed Azamina in our hand, we're then going to activate that, sending Deception in itself to the graveyard to fusion summon out our copy of Risalaga. Once Risalaga hits the field, it allows us to search for a Sinful Spoils card, and that card is going to be OSS. Once we have OSS in our hand, we're then going to link summon off our Risalaga and our Bellstar, the Black Witch, for a copy of Ferocious Flame Swordsman. At this point here, this is very important to know that this monster needs to be a warrior. So it can be SP or it can be Ferocious Flame Swordsman. I'm choosing to use Ferocious Flame Swordsman in my build, and I don't want to use SP at this particular moment for this example, so I'm using Ferocious. All right, moving forward. So once we get Ferocious on the field, before we move any further, we want to make sure we go ahead and activate the effect of Infernoble Knight Ogier, which is going to equip to Ferocious Flame Swordsman. It seems kind of weird, but roll with me. I have a reason for that. Now that we have a fusion in the graveyard, Azamina fusion in the grave, we can activate the effect of the Hallowed Azamina, returning Risalaga back to the extra deck to add the Hallowed Azamina back to our hand. Once we have the Hallowed Azamina back to our hand, we then can activate the Hallowed Azamina for the second time, sending OSS along with it to the grave to fusion summon one more time. And at this point here, we're now going to set up our Omni Negate to installate our plays going forward with a copy of Sylvia. Once Sylvia is on the field, we then can take a scroll through our graveyard and activate the effect of OSS. We can banish OSS, sending the Bellstar back to the deck, and adding a level 1 fire monster from our deck. And that fire monster is going to be Bradamante. We're gonna add Bradamante because it's gonna allow us to equip from the deck, but the qualifications for her, it needs to target a warrior on the field. This is why I stated that this link monster needed to be a warrior in nature, so you can use the effect of Bradamante to equip from the deck. So we're gonna activate the effect of Bradamante, discarding her, targeting Flame Swordsman to equip him with a Infernoble Arms, the Rendell, directly from the deck. Once we have the Rendell in play, we can activate the effect of the Rendell, searching us a copy of Renaud and sending itself to the graveyard. Now that we have Renaud in our hand, we can now special summon out Renaud, using the effect of Renaud to add us back a Fire Warrior from the grave, and that Fire Warrior is going to be Turpin. Now that we have Turpin in our hand, we can use the effect of Turpin while he's in our hand, and we can have a monster that has a face-up equip card that's equipped to it. We can then special summon out Turpin. We're then going to use Renaud and Ferocious Flame Swordsman to link summon for a copy of Promethean Princess. Once Promethean Princess is in play, we can activate her effect to special summon out a fire monster from our graveyard, and the fire monster we're going to choose is going to be Bradamante. Now that we have a level 1 tuner and a level 4 monster, we can now synchro for a copy of Angelica. Angelica hits the field. She then searches us a copy of Noble Arms Museum. Once we have Noble Arms Museum, we can activate it, pay 12 to search for a Noble Arms card. And the Noble Arms card we're gonna search for is going to be Owl Mace. Now at this point here, it's very uncommon for Infernoble players to not have a way to trigger our Angelica at this particular point without using cards in our graveyard, but as you can see, we don't really have a way to trigger her because Turpin has been all used up and Ogier has been used up completely too, and there's nothing else in the graveyard that's going to help trigger Angelica. So we have to use the equip card that we just searched off the museum, which is okay, but it's not practical in any other situation, but we're working with the 2 cards that we have. So we're gonna go ahead and activate Owl Mace targeting Angelica. We're gonna then chain Angelica's effect, sending a Fire Warrior to the grave and special summoning out Roland, banishing her from the extra deck. Now that we sent a Fire Warrior to the graveyard, we sent our Magus. Now we're gonna activate the effect of Magus, and we're gonna shuffle back 3 cards. The cards we're gonna shuffle back is going to be Owl Mace, it's going to be Renaud, and it's going to be Ogier. Of course, you guys can choose whatever Fire Warriors and equip cards you want, but these are the ones I'm choosing. So we're gonna send those back to the deck to draw us 1 card. And the 1 card we're gonna draw is going to be Dominus Purge, but we're just gonna turn it around because it's a blank card at this particular point. So there, we're just gonna sit it right here. All right, now that we've done that, we can activate the effect of Magus in the grave to equip to our Roland, and we can use the effect of Museum to special summon up our Magus. Once Magus is in the field, we can now synchro summon these 2 away for a copy of Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles. Once we have Charles in play, we can then activate the effect of Roland here to equip to Charles, triggering Charles' effect to destroy our Promethean Princess, because we're going to need her in the graveyard to move forward on our opponent's turn. Now that Charles has an equipped card, we then can link summon away Charles here for a copy of Emperor Charles the Great. Now we have Emperor Charles the Great here. He's going to activate his effect, and he's going to target our Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles to equip to him, and he's going to gain the effect of Infernoble Knight Charles. All right, now everything seems to be set up. We really can't push forward for any more things, so we're going to check our graveyard before we move to the end phase to see if there's anything we can activate. And I'm seeing one card we can activate, and it can be your wanted poster here. So let's go ahead and activate the wanted poster, sending back our deception. Now I know at the end phase deception can reset itself to the field, but we're not gonna need this in this example. We wanna go ahead and get some more card economy. So we're gonna send this back to the deck, and we're gonna draw ourselves one more card. Oops, wrong card. We're gonna draw ourselves one more card here. Now, we're gonna turn this way, so we just gained 2 cards right here. Now we can move towards the end phase. In phase, we can go ahead and return Angelica back to play, and then we can trigger the effect of Emperor Charles the Great. He's going to equip himself with an equip card and a Fire Warrior from our deck, which is going to be Infernoble Knight Oliver. So now we can end our turn, but what did we just accomplish in our turn? So originally we only played with 2 cards, and we utilized every card to the max that we had in play. So we netted back our 2 cards we invested into this board. But what does our board say? We have a Omni Negate with Sylvia. We have a Spell and Trap Negate with Emperor Charles. And we also have a non-targeted destruction with Charles comboing along with Roland on our opponent's turn. And then if our opponent spell summons a monster, we then can use the effect of Promethean Princess. We then can use Promethean Princess effect to target our Angelica and targeting our opponent's monster, but we then can chain to the effect of Promethean Princess with Angelica's effect to send another Fire Warrior to the grave. And it doesn't have to destroy our Angelica as long as it destroys the monster on our opponent's side of the field. So that's the one way we can utilize Promethean Princess along with Angelica. It does not have to destroy Angelica. It has to destroy the other monster, but it has to target Angelica. So there we go with that. So that's what this combo will accomplish at the end phase of our turn, and this is what we have to work with against our opponent. Also, keep in mind that our Charles right here can't be targeted by any card effect, so it protects it from that particular imperm that likes to show up in our opponent's 6th draw most times, but it can't be imperm, which is a really good place to be. So that does it for this example. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. But we're going to utilize the same 2 cards, which is going to be Wanted and Heritage of the Chalice, but we're going to add one more random monster to our hand. And we're going to see how far we can push that board and see how different it's going to look. Let's move on to the next example. All right, here we are at combo line number 2. It's probably going to be the last one of this video. Don't worry, I got many more combo lines to show you guys, even with the Flame Swordsman build of Azamina. But that's going to be coming much later, and I'm probably going to do a part 2 to this video. I'm displaying more combo lines and then follow that up with a deck profile. But I have a lot more testing to do at locals, and I'm waiting on just a few more cards to come in the mail. But it's not going to affect anything I'm showing you guys here in these combo line videos. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, we're starting with 3 cards instead of 2, and one of these cards is a monster that is going to add no value to anywhere. It's just a random monster. So let's get started. We're going to activate one in the draw phase to add us our witch. Send that to the grave. In the main phase 1, we're going to activate Chalice to get us our Ogier. And just like last time, we're going to normal summon Ogier, sending our Turpin to the grave, using Turpin's effect to equip to Ogier. Once Turpin enters play, we're going to send it to the graveyard to special summon out our Diabell Star the Black Witch. Her effect is going to set us a copy of Deception. We're going to activate Deception. We're not going to get rid of either one of these. We're going to get rid of that random monster I told you we was going to use for the this particular combo. So this is where that random monster comes from. And we're going to pitch it for the effect of Deception to search the Hallowed Azamina. Once we get Hallowed Azamina, we're then going to use Hallowed Azamina, sending the Deception to the grave to fusion summon out our copy of Risalago. Risalago is going to add us our OSS, and then we're going to link summon using Diabell Star and Risalago for our IP Masquerena. Now, in this example here, or combo line, we do not need to go into a link warrior for this particular line to play through, because we already have a warrior on the field. So we don't need to go through that combo line. So we will not be seeing Radamonte in this particular combo line. All right, now that we have our Azamina Fusion in the grave, we can send it back to the extra deck with the effect of the Hallowed Azamina. And we're gonna add Hallowed Azamina back to our hand. We're gonna activate Azamina, sending our OSS to the graveyard like we did on our last example, to fusion summon out our Omni Negate, which is Severa, which is gonna insulate us from the Nibiru going forward. Now that we have her on the field, we can start moving into the Fire Warrior aspect of this deck. We now can banish our OSS from the graveyard. Of course, we have to return the Black Witch to the deck, and then we're gonna add ourselves a level 1 fire monster, and that fire monster is going to be Renard. Since we control a Fire Warrior on the field, we can special summon out Renard. He becomes a level 1 tuner at this point. We're not going to utilize his effect right now to grab anything from the grave. Granted, it's only Turpin in the grave, and we're going to leave Turpin down there for now. So now we're going to synchro these two off for a copy of Angelica. Now, when Angelica hits the field, we get to add ourselves a copy of Museum. We're gonna activate Museum. We're gonna pay 1,200 life points to add ourselves a copy of Almace. So in the last example, remember I told you we would use Infernoble monsters in our graveyard to help us trigger the effect of Angelica, and we have just one in there that's gonna be able to help us out right now. That's gonna be Ogier. So at this point here, we're going to activate the effect of Ogier, targeting Angelica, and we're going to chain Angelica's effect, sending a copy of Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, banishing herself, and then special summoning out Captain Roland. So we have Almace in our hand. We sent Gearfried to the grave, so that means we're going to get him back somewhere in this combo line, and I'll show you when, guys. All right, now we need to go ahead and start moving towards Emperor Charles. Let's go. So we have Turpin here in the graveyard, and Turpin can special summon himself from the graveyard or the hand if there's a face-up equip. So normally we would equip, it to Roland. That way if Roland gets sent to the graveyard, we can add us any Fire Warrior, would typically be Gearfried back from the graveyard, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna equip this to our IP Masquerader. And then we're gonna special summon out our Turpin. Then we're going to synchro our Turpin and our Roland. Remember, Turpin gets banished because if he comes from the graveyard from that effect, he gets banished. Send Roland to the grave for our copy of Infernoble Knight, Emperor Charles. Once we get Charles on the field, we're gonna activate the effect of Captain Roland, special summoning him, equipping him to Charles, and then we're going to link summon Charles away for Emperor Charles the Great. Emperor Charles the Great then equips Infernoble Knight, Emperor Charles, from the graveyard to himself. At this point here, we have not used the Museum effect to special summon up an Infernoble, so that's exactly what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna use the effect of Museum to special summon up our copy of Infernoble Knight Charles. And the thing about this point here, now that we have Charles on the field, when we activate that effect, it does not lock us into warriors going forward. So we're still free to do and make whatever link monster we want to make, which is perfect. Now, how do we get that second Charles on the field? Because as you can see, we don't have any more monsters in our graveyard to equip to him, nor do we have an equip card in our hand to equip to Charles to get him where he needs to be, but we do have an equip card on the field. So we're gonna activate the effect of Almace. Almace allows us to equip in a monster with an equip card, a Noble Arms equip from the deck, and then send that card to the graveyard. So we're gonna equip our Charles with a copy of the Rendell. And we're not gonna use the effect of the Rendell to search. No. We're gonna leave that equip card on Infernoble Knight Charles, and we're gonna link away this Charles here with the Rendell for another copy of Emperor Charles the Great. At this point here, we're gonna go chain link 1, 2. We're gonna equip Charles with Charles, and then we're gonna resolve the effect of the Rendell, which says if that monster that was equipped to is sent to the graveyard, we get to now special summon out a level 5 or lower fire warrior from my graveyard. So we're gonna special summon out our Renaud back from the graveyard. So now that we have Renaud successfully special summoned, we have a set of chain links we need to resolve. But we need to make sure that we are in compliance with the effect of Infernoble on the Rendell, which is going to be locking us into warriors for the rest of the time, which is not a big deal, but pretty much done. So the set of chain links we need to have is going to be Charles is chain link 1 and Renaud is chain link 2. Renaud's effect is going to add us back a fire warrior from our graveyard. And Emperor Charles is going to destroy a card on the field because something was equipped, which was himself. And we're going to destroy Renaud. The reason we're destroying Renaud because we actually need space to summon our Gearfried. Keep in mind that our banished Angelica is going to be coming back. So now we can go ahead and summon our Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, activate his effect, banishing our Almace from the graveyard to then special summon Gearfried. Now we're pretty much done, but we need to do a graveyard check before we move to the end phase to see if there's any other cards in here we might need to activate. So right off the bat, we're gonna go ahead and banish our wanted poster, sending back our deception back to the deck and netting us 1 card from the main deck. Hopefully it's something we can use, but let's just keep it face down as a dead card for right now. Just +1 in card economy. All right, I think that does it for everything here that we need to do. So let's move to the end phase. On the end phase, Angelica's going to return, and then we're going to activate the effect of Emperor Charles here, which is going to equip a equip card from the graveyard to him, and also equip a fire warrior from our deck to him. The 2 choices you can go with can either be Olivier or Malgus. Seeing as we already used the effect to pop a card on the field, I would suggest you don't put Malgus out there because you're not going to be able to pop him and send him to the graveyard to draw 1 extra card. So I'm going to go with Olivier. But it doesn't mean you can't get him. You can get him on your opponent's turn when you trigger the effect off Angelica, sending him to the grave to draw a card on your opponent's turn. So don't worry. Now that we ended our turn, we're going to present to our opponent what they're looking at. So we have 1 Omni negate, 2 Spell Trap negates, 1 Monster negate, and we also have a non-targeting card destruction with the combo of Charles and Roland here. And we also have a way to link summon on our opponent's turn by using IP. So we can use any one of our Charles effects or even Gearfried for that matter. And then once their effects is used up, we then can activate the effect of IP to quick link for a copy of SP Little Knight, which is going to give us 2 more interruptions. So let's go ahead and count those interruptions all out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 interruptions, and that's what we're going to have on our opponent's turn. So that pretty much does it for the this particular combo. I want to thank you guys for coming back and rocking with me and supporting the channel. I know I've been gone for a while, but I had to bring this combo to you guys' attention. I'm going to be doing a deck profile soon, so please stay tuned to that. And this has been your boy Lord Solar Prime, and I'm out, guys. Peace.